Hey folks, I'm Rob Franek. I'm Editor-in-Chief here at the Princeton Review. If you've been joining us for this COVID-19 series, you know that on the daily for the last now 3 weeks of time, we have been reporting on COVID-19 and its repercussions on higher education. Folks, today's segment, we are focused solely on the questions that you have been volleying our way, specifically about changes on the AP exams. Now, folks, we understand that we are broadcasting to students who are concerned about the health and safety of their families and their loved ones, but they're probably also concerned at that same time about their futures. And folks, that is completely understandable. COVID-19 has had its repercussions specifically on educational issues that are affecting you daily. One such issue that lots and lots of students are volleying questions our way is specifically about the AP exams. Now, you will know that the old exams that were 3 hour plus are now gone away, and the new incarnation, of the AP exams are going to be 45-minute free response questions. Folks, that is not a lot of minutes. But here's the thing that you might not know. On this very YouTube channel, we have our expert tutors and teachers for AP exams teaching on the daily live stream events broadcast at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Folks, please do join us. You can take a look at back segments as well. But getting back to today's segment, folks, you have volleyed many questions our way. We took the 10 most frequently recurring questions, synthesized them down, and those are the 10 things that I am addressing today. I am, however, giving myself on my clock only 30 seconds apiece. You guys get 45 minutes on the AP exam. I'm giving myself 30 seconds to answer each of these 10 segments. I have my mom directly off camera. She is going to be ringing this bell as soon as I go over my 30 seconds, and then we're going to be moving on. So here we go. Question 1, here it is. What will the grading curve be like in the spring 2020 AP exams? Folks, the good news for me to spread is that there is no grading curve on the AP exams come this spring, but the truth is there's never been a grading curve on the AP exams. If you were taking an AP psychology exam and you get 3/4 of the question right, then you get your 5. Folks, the percentages are different for different exams, but the principle remains the same. Consistent ranges of raw scores equal, we're going to move on, equal your score on that 1 to 5 basis. Okay, question 2, again from students. If other people cheat, won't that hurt my score? Folks, the best part of having no grading curve is that other people's score simply do not affect you. Now, there are students who are going to insist on cheating, and the consequences for those students are severe, but the truth is that those students' potential to get a 5 does not affect your potential to get a 5 as well. Achieve that level mastery, that 5 level mastery, and you will get that 5. It doesn't matter how many people get those 5s as well. Okay, question 3. Will the exams be harder? Now, folks, lots and lots of students have hypothesized on this very question, and they are divided into 2 camps. One camp saying it has to be harder because the exam is shorter, it's 45 minutes as opposed to 3 hours, and 2, the College Board has to make it harder to combat cheating. Now, folks, the truth is that there are differences for sure in this iteration of the May exams, and they fall into several different camps. But folks, remind yourself that few students will ever have to take some of the most important exams in their life in their bedroom, at their desk, or in their kitchen table at their parents' house or apartments. You normally don't take that special exam, that all-encompassing exam at 6 a.m. in the morning or in the middle of the night, depending on your time. So it's usually not open book or open note in high school. And folks, global pandemic changes everything, and it can change it to your advantage in this way. Folks, focus on the skills. It is not simply a recall exam. It is focused on synthesizing and analyzing. I'll move on to my next question. Here we go. Question 4. Can I Google stuff? Does using the internet count as open note? Folks, there were lots of people asking this question, and here's the thing. There is simply not going to be enough time to do so, but the official answer from the College Board is that Google does not count as open note. There are 4 things that count as open note. They are the following: class notes created by you and you alone, classroom resources provided by teachers. Number 3, previous assignments or assessments returned to you by your teachers, or calculators for certain exams. Folks, We'll move on, folks, to the next question. Can I choose my date is question 5. The short answer is yes. If you've been following along this series, you'll know that when College Board first announced that AP exams were going to be take-home exams, at-home exams, they said that you could choose your dates, May and June. They then scaled that back and said every student was automatically going to be registered for the May exams, and then you'd get special permission to go to that June test. There was further clarification just this weekend. Folks, you can choose between the May and June test. The quote from the College Board: students can test in either May or June, but they're strongly encouraging May dates. Students are allowed to test in June, but should understand that if they encounter a problem on exam date, they won't have additional opportunities to test. Moving on, question 6. Will College Board randomize questions, or will everybody take the same exam? Folks, as far as we know, and we're looking for that guidance from the College Board, everyone will take the same exam. That's why a student taking an exam in Hawaii must get onto the online platform at 5:30 a.m. in the morning for that 6 a.m. exam. Students that are sitting in Maine are taking that same exam in Maine, taking it at high noon that same day. But here's the thing. The College Board, understandably, is not releasing all of its testing security measures. As soon as we find out about that at Princeton Review, we'll report that directly back to you. Whew, under 30 seconds. Question 7. Lots of people are certainly asking this question. What happens when more than one student from the same household takes the same exam? Folks, the short answer, again, as far as we know from the College Board, they've been limited in their guidance, is just take the exam. Now, what we're expecting to hear from the College Board, and we'll report it out to you, is that they're going to suggest that students take that exam in separate workspaces and then to use their own devices. Now, we've talked about this in past videos. Folks, if you do not have that equipment, if you do not have reliable internet service, Wi-Fi service, please do reach out to the College Board. They have been committed to providing students who are taking those May and June exams the tools to do just that. We have the College Board website listed in the comments here as well. Question 8. I've heard that the College Board will be sending a copy of my completed test to my teacher. But what if I'm self-studying? Who is going to get my test? Folks, now there hasn't been no direct guidance on this particular question from College Board, but what we do know is that teachers will receive copies of your work on those AP exams. For a couple of reasons. They want to flag any inconsistencies and any unusual work. But folks, there also is a benefit to students as well. Some teachers will count your AP exam as your final exam for the course, or at least part of your grade for the overall your AP coursework in high school. If you're self-studying, your counselor and your school are probably going to get those things. We'll report that information back to you. Question 9. What is the best device to take this exam on? Folks, this is really a bit of personal preference and technological savvy. If you're a bit old-fashioned and you want to hand write out all of the questions and simply take a photo of it and send it into the College Board, that's perfectly fine. Many of our AP students at the Princeton Review choose to take it on a computer. That's perfectly fine as well. But here's the thing. If you have a preferred platform, but you don't own that preferred platform, you need to reach out to the College Board directly. As we said before, their obligation is to provide you with the tools to do just that. They can give you a loaner device to make sure that you're taking those exams. Last question, question 10. And again, thank you for volleying so many questions our way. Here's the question. What do I do if my computer or internet crashes during the test or while I'm submitting my final answers on the exam? Folks, again, there has been no formal procedure yet from the College Board, but in my personal opinion, on the opinion of our 4,000 teachers and tutors at the Princeton Review, you need to document everything if that should happen to you. Write down exactly what happened and then send in that information both to your counselor as well as to the College Board as quickly as possible. And folks, the detail here is crucial. Be as detailed as possible. If it happened to you at 12:12 where you're taking that AP psychology exam and your internet kicked back in at 12:28, you need to be clear about those things. Those details will then be verified by the College Board as well. Folks, that's the answer to my last question. Again, my name is Rob Franek. I'm editor-in-chief here at the Princeton Review. Folks, please understand this. We are here for you. Volley any questions our way through Princeton Review social channels. Here in the comments for our YouTube channel, we'll do our level best again on the daily to answer those questions. Rob Franek, editor-in-chief, out.